is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm here at a private game in Dallas, Texas. I got a text 2 days ago when I was flying back to Dallas after my 10 days in Cabo San Lucas, and I got notified that there's a huge 5-10 game going on, and I know it's the first day back from my vacation, so I gotta get back into it, make some money for this upcoming WSOP trip I have planned. I'm in for $5,000. We are going to try to run that up, see if we can free roll a few bullets in a tournament in Vegas. So it's a 5-5-10 game. I'm in for $5,000. We're gonna get some food, some drinks, and hopefully win a bunch of money. If you guys are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my Vegas WSOP adventures. Let's get right into the hands. Let's go. We're rocking the double Mudkip card protector today for the extra run good. I get my first of a few meals ordered and sit down at the 5-5-10 table. I'm in for $5,000. First hand of the night, we look down at the beautiful Ace-5 of diamonds, and I raise it up to $50 over a $10 limp. We have a villain in the big blind, and she decides to come in for that 3-bet up to $175. And yeah, we're gonna see a few callers before it comes back around to me, and we have a decision. Are we coming in for the 4-bet and making it like $1,000, or are we just putting in the flat call for 125 more and hoping to either spike a 5 or a few diamonds on board and coolering a few opponents? That's what I decided to do. Let's go multi-way to the flop. And I put in the additional 125. Let's see what the dealer puts out there, and it's Gin. 5-5-4, bang! We flop 3 of a kind. Ace kicker, we are only losing to pocket 4s at this point, which, I mean, is in the range of some of these opponents. I don't really think the villain who decided to 3-bet is going to have that. So when she bets out for $475, and both the other players fold, I know I have the best hand. At this point, she has a hand like kings, queens, jacks. There's just no way she has 4s in this spot. So I'm going to set the trap and not expose the strength of my hand just yet. I put in the call, and we are off to the turn. Turn's an interesting card. It comes the 10 of spades. Definitely changes the nuts on this board because she could have a hand like pocket 10s, which would have me in rough shape. The good news is I'm in position, so I have all the knowledge of what she's going to do first, and she bets out for $700 into the pot, which is a pretty sizable bet. She could, of course, still have jacks, queens, kings, aces, so obviously I'm going nowhere. However, the board got a little bit more spicy with a 10 out there. She could have pocket 10s, of course. I look over at her stack, and she has around $1,900 left behind her $700 bet, so around $2,600 to $2,700 in total. I think this is a mistake here, but I decide to jam all in for $2,650 effective. I think it's a mistake because I should just call here in position and let her decide what to do on the river. If she checks it over to me, I can shove. If she bets out, I can shove over the top. So yeah, I think shoving here lets her get away from a hand like queens or jacks a small percentage of the time. Either way though, that time is not now. She puts in the call. She's not going anywhere, which is great news for us. We offer to run it twice and she accepts, and let's see what happens on the river. So we're definitely not rooting for a spade on either run out, and of course that's what the dealer puts out there, 2 spades. So now we're losing to a hand like ace king of spades at this point, but that's not what she has. When I turn over the goods, she mucks her cards, and that $7,000 pot is getting shipped over to me. It looks like the double Mudkip is already working to perfection, and the Ace-5 of diamonds takes one down for us there. Let's go. Next hand of the night, we upgrade to pocket kings, and I raise it up to $50. We're going to get 4 callers, and we are going 5 ways to a flop, and it comes pretty good for us. 10-4 deuce with 2 diamonds, and the action checks over to me. Multi-way, I decide to start with a check. I'm not going to have too much of the pocket 4s and pocket deuces. I know there is that front door diamond draw out there, but if someone has it, they're probably going to bet, and we can proceed from there. The action checks over to the villain on the button, who bets out for $125, and the action folds back around to me. In this spot, are you guys going for the check raise, or are you just calling and hoping to fade a diamond on the turn? I think that's a little bit too passive. I want to start piling the money in here and try to get heads up, so I make it $365. 1 chip for every day of the year. The villain in the hijack gets a little bit spicy here, and he doesn't want to let go of his hand. There has been a bet and a 3-bet, and he's not scared of it one bit. He comes in for the cold 4-bet and makes it $1,000. The button is done with this hand. He lets it go and the action's back over to me. I look over at the hijack stack. He has around $2,000 in it, so only around $1,000 more after his 4-bet to 1K. And in case he has a diamond draw, I want to get it in now. Maybe he has top pair. Hopefully he doesn't have fours or deuces. That'd be a little bit unfortunate. We'd only have 2 outs at that point. Still, I think stuffing it in here is the right move. That's what I decided to do. And just like that first hand of the night, we are going to run this board out twice. The first board comes the 7 of spades followed by the 10 of clubs. We're running it twice. The opponent turns over ace-3 of diamonds. So we have the first board locked up. He's going for a 5 or a diamond on the second board. The turn is clean. It comes a board pairing 10 of hearts. We can't fade the river. He makes the flush on bottom. We needed to fade one more card. We would have scooped that $4,400 pot, but instead we're only getting half. Still, 2 hands into the session, we're running pretty good so far. The next hand of note, we look down at pocket 10s from the button. Straddle's on for 20 bucks. There is a limp from the hijack, so I come in for a raise and make it $85 to go. Both the straddler and the hijack put in the call, leading us off 3 ways to a flop, which comes jack 9-4 with 2 spades. The action checks over to me. I don't have the 10 of spades in my hand, and I don't want to get blown off my equity here, so I decide to check it behind. I think it's a little bit passive, but probably a decent play. And we see a great card on the turn. It's not a spade, it's the 8 of clubs, giving us the open-ended straight draw. Scott in the $10 straddle bets out for $165, and the other player gets out of the way. The action's back over to me, and I think this is a fair price to continue. He could have any of the flush draws at this point. It's possible he does have a jack or a 2-pair or set type of hand, but still, pocket 10s, way too good to fold here. I put in the call, and we are off to a river. Would love to not see a spade, and of course, that's exactly what comes. The 5 of spades peels off. He now could have any assortment of hands that have us beat. There's $600 in the middle, and he bets out for half of that for the tune of $325. And now we have a decision. Our hand is essentially a bluff catcher. I just don't think it's good enough, and I don't really think he's going to go 2 streets here against me when I'm filming a vlog. And yeah, pocket 10s, probably not the best hand here. I decided to muck them, and I guess we'll never know what he had. No worries though, pocket 10s gets upgraded in this next hand to pocket aces American Airlines. We raised it up to $40, and Daryl in the low jack puts in the call, followed by Caleb in the straddle. We're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes king 10-3 with 2 diamonds. Caleb starts with a check. Now, it might seem unorthodox to any of you guys who have just stumbled into my channel, but I decide to check here with pocket aces on a king 10-3 board with 2 diamonds. Logic is, I'm out of position against Daryl. I'm sandwiched in between him and Caleb. I have the ace of diamonds in my hand, which blocks some of those nut flush draws. And additionally, I have equity because I could back into the flush myself. If someone has a hand like 10s, 3s, or something like king 10, we're going to save money in the long run here by starting with a check. And I'll make up the difference when I go for 2 streets of value on the turn and river. My hand is definitely going to be under-repped. The action checks through on the flop, bringing in a pretty bad card. It comes the 7 of diamonds. I say bad, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because I do have the ace of diamonds in my hand. 130 in the middle, Caleb decides to lead out into the field for $75. A raise here would be interesting using the ace of diamonds as a blocker. He can't have the nut flush, and I could. That'd be an interesting play, but instead I played a little bit more passively and just put in the call. That passive play gets rid of Daryl. We are off to the river, which comes the 9 of spades. Caleb now slows down and checks it over to me. What do you think his hand is here on the turn when he bets out for 75 and then he checks on the river? Don't really think he's going to have many flushes that give up on the river. So his value hands would be sets like 10s, 3s, 7s. I think he could also have a hand like king 10. He could also have some worse hands like king queen, king jack, ace king, stuff like that. So when he checks it over to me, I still think it's important to go for value. This is not a bluff. I bet out for $75 and we get snap called by king 10. So he's going to win that hand, but I still think it's important to go for value there. A, my hand is definitely under-repped, and B, pocket aces is definitely going to be good a large portion of the time. So can't be short-sighted here, even though I'm losing the pot. I think the play is good in the long run. No worries, the poker gods are trying to make it happen for us. I look down at pocket kings in this next hand. I'm on the button. The villain in the hijack decides to raise it up to $20 and the action's on me. Obviously going to be 3-betting. I make it 100 bones to go. Let's see how many customers we get. Just one, the villain in the hijack. We are off to the flop, which comes Jack 7-5 with 2 spades, and he checks it over to me. If you look in the top right corner of your screen, he is way too preoccupied with his meal to have any interest in this hand. He starts with a check. I follow up with a c-bet, and the 4 of spades peels off on the turn. Definitely an action card. Hands like 6-8, 6-3 now get there. Any 2 spades have a flush. Does he decide to lead out on this turn? Absolutely not. Way too preoccupied with that dinner. Takes a mouthful and checks it over to me. I decide now to bet out for $275. I don't have the king of spades in my hand, so if he had a hand like king jack with the king of spades, he's going to call any price I put out there. $275 is around 2/3 the size of the pot, and he's not going anywhere. He puts in the call, leading us off to the river, which comes the 3 of hearts. There's $940 in the middle, and he just bets out into me for $800. Pocket 8s get there, pocket deuces get there, ace, deuce, ace, 8 with the ace of spades. There's just so many combinations that get there on the river. Additionally, he could also be value betting all of his spade flushes that did not decide to check raise the turn. He could also have some sets. There's just a lot of hands he could have here. I know it's strange when he just calls the turn and then leads out on the river, but I think at this point my kings are a bluff catcher. Pocket jacks are still good, pocket 7s. Man, there's just so many hands. I'm not going to pay him off here. I need to see him bluff into another opponent before I start making calls like this. So even though it seems a little bit nitty, we're going to relinquish our cards, and in turn, he's going to scoop in that $1,700 pot. Maybe it was a bad fold, maybe it was a good one. Let me know down in the comments, but as for now, to be determined. Alright, we are getting premiums tonight. Let's see if we can finally win with one. Ace queen of hearts from the big blind. We see a raise to 60 and a call. The action's on me, and we are going to come in for a chunky 3-bet. And I decide to size up to $330. We see a cold call from the straddle, and we see a call from middle position. Does that bring in the cutoff? Yes, it does. And we see Jin on the flop. King Jack 7 with 2 hearts. We have 4 to a royal flush. It's not often you make a royal flush the hard way. Is this our night? I bet out to the tune of $525. Taking it down here would be pretty sweet, adding $1,400 to my chip stack. But, I mean, if everyone folds, I don't get to see if I would have made a royal flush. So I'm kind of hoping to get a customer and then go blasto on the turn and then get there on the river. That'd be pretty sweet. And lucky for us, Mr. Regis in the cutoff, a legend here in the Dallas poker scene, puts in the call, bringing in a brick on the turn, the 5 of diamonds. We're going to have to muster up some courage here and get more money in the middle. I look over at Mr. Regis's stack, and he has just over $2,000. There's around $2,400 in the middle. I'm trying to pick out a sizing that I can get it in on the river. If I just shove here, I mean, it's possible he calls me with a weak king, maybe a strong jack, or a flush draw. I do have a lot of the flush draws blocked with the ace and queen of hearts in my hand. So I decide to bet a little bit less than half pot to the tune of $950. It's going to look strong because I'm setting up a river jam, so he knows if he calls here on the turn, I'm definitely going to be putting it on the river, and he's going to have to commit his entire stack. So at the end of the day, he ultimately decides to fold his cards. That means my ace high is going to scoop in this $2,400 pot, and because it's a private game, you can ask the dealer to run out the river. Is the 10 of hearts going to come out there? Nope. But at least we would have gotten there with the 4 of hearts. We would have had the nuts. And yeah, it's too bad Regis didn't call there, but still pretty cool to flop ourselves the royal flush draw. Yeah, didn't hit this time, but maybe in the future. All right, next hand, we look down at pocket 6s. The hijack min raises to $20, and I come in for a 3-bet with pocket 6s. Pretty standard so far. He defends with a few extra green chips. And just like that, we are going heads up in position to a flop, which comes pretty good for my range, king 8-4 with 2 diamonds. The opponent in the hijack knows this and checks it over to me. I go for a standard c-bet, and he floats me and puts in the call, leading us off to the turn, which comes the 3 of spades. Shouldn't really change too much. I'm either way ahead or way behind. Could have some diamond flush draws. Let's see what he decides to do on the turn. He knuckles it over to me. That's a check. And I think I like mixing between betting and checking. Betting would obviously get called by better hands being the king. He could also have those diamond flush draws, sets like 8s and 4s that didn't decide to check raise me on the flop. Checking behind seems pretty reasonable as well. That's what I decide to do in the moment, and we see a good card on the river. It's a clean king of spades, making it less likely he does in fact have a king. The diamond flush draw also bricks out. So when he decides now to lead out into me, there's $350 in the middle, and he bets a suspicious sizing of $300. Look down at my hand. I do have a 6 of diamonds in it, which is not too great because I blocked some of his missed flush draws. But at the same time, when he polarizes on the river, he's saying he has one of two types of hands, either pocket 8s, pocket 3s, or a hand that has a king in it. Either way, he's going to have to prove it, and I decide to put in the call. I got to put my money where my mouth is sometimes, and sure enough, he turns over a bluff. Ace-4 offsuit. He just had a pair of 4s. Luckily, his bluff there was worse than my call with pocket 6s. We're taking in that $1,000 pot, bringing us off into the second to last hand of the night, where I look down at ace-king offsuit from the small blind. The cutoff opens it up to $75, so of course I'm going to 3-bet him to $275, and he puts in the call, leading us off to the flop, which comes queen 7-4 rainbow. Action's on me. It's a pretty good board to go for a c-bet, so I copy and paste my bet from pre-flop, $275, and he makes a pretty quick fold. That brings us into another fun hand here, the last hand of the night. Pocket aces. I'm about to rack up. You can see my chips are pushed forward. Just got my thumbnail for the video, and yeah, we get dealt pocket aces. It's a good thing my chips are not in the rack. Definitely don't need the bad luck. I decide to raise it up to $50 from the +1 position, and we're going to get called by Daryl, a fun action player here in Dallas, in the +2 position. The cutoff, the main villain in this hand, decides to 3-bet me to $225, and the action folds back around to me. No better feeling in poker than having pocket aces, and you get 3-bet, the best hand ever, and other people want to put more money in the middle. The action's back over to me. If I call, I'll be out of position the rest of the way. I have the best hand. I need to come in for a 4-bet. I know it's going to look strong, so I don't need to go large. And I decide on a sizing of $525. Probably could have gone a little bit larger, to the tune of $600. But that's splitting hairs, neither here nor there. He decides to put in the call, and we're going heads up, out of position to a flop, which comes 6-4-4. Pretty dry board. There are 2 clubs out there. I have the ace of clubs in my hand. There's $1,100 out there, and I decide on a sizing of around half pot, $500, utilizing those black chips. Toss them out into the middle, and the opponent thinks about it for about 30 seconds before putting in the call, leading us off to the turn, which comes the 8 of hearts. Now this is where the hand gets interesting. I look over at his stack. He has around a pot-sized bet left. I have pocket aces. There's $2,100 in the middle. Do you check it over to him here and make it look like you have a hand like ace-king, ace-queen? Do you bet half pot and commit him to putting in his stack on the river? Do you jam and polarize in the spot? There's 3 really good options, and I decide to go for option B and bet around half the size of the pot. If he calls here, he's committing himself the rest of the way. If he folds, obviously I'm winning this hand, and if he shoves on me, I'm snap calling with the ace of clubs in my hand. I bet out for $875, and the opponent is in the tank. At this point, I think he has a hand like 9s, 10s, jacks, somewhere in that vicinity. Ultimately, though, he does decide to fold his cards, and we are taking in the last hand of the night, $2,100 coming my way, and I table the ace of clubs, leaving a little bit of thought in his head. Did I have pocket aces, or did I have the nut flush draw? With that last hand in the books, we rack up our chips and head over to the cashier, exchanging our chips for some cold, hard cash. All right, you guys, that wraps up that 5-5-10 game. We got in for $5,000, out for $99.30, so a profit of $4,930 in around 4 to 5 hours of play. Coming to you from the next day, I just didn't have the energy after playing that long to capture the excitement of winning that much, but we got some sushi afterwards, enjoyed the night, and yeah, recapping with you guys now here in Dallas. If you guys like those type of videos, definitely let me know down below. And if you guys haven't been able to make it out to a meetup game with myself and you want to play online with me, there is a link down below to my 3 favorite clubs. The first one's a 1-2 game, second one's a 50-cent, $1 game, and the third one has everything from 10 cent, 20 cent, up to 5-10. So if any of you guys like to play online, those are the 3 clubs that I trust and play in all the time. So definitely go check those out down below. For those of you guys that are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm making my way out to Vegas for 2.5 weeks. Going to be firing the main event at the end. and a bunch of other $2 and $4 million guaranteed tournaments. A lot of fun stuff coming your way. Appreciate all the support, you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.